Today we're going to talk about something that's very, very important to everyone, and basically for, a healthy life and survival.
Survival, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
survival.
It's essential.
It's very essential.
Yeah.
Minerals. It's an inorganic substance. Minerals are found in soil and rocks. And you think, well, how are soil and rocks? Well, animals eat the soil and the rocks and things like that, and you in turn, and plants, it gets through the plants, so in turn you ingest it through them, and you have to have these to survive, to carry out daily functions and processes. They keep you healthy. They have key roles in several body functions, and you require these nutrients and minerals for your daily diet. Bone and teeth health, energy production. I have a list here.
And the list
nerve
goes on,
and muscle
right?
function, and more importantly, immune health.
Oh, very, yeah.
So, these are just, different types of minerals that people don't think about because, well, as we said, you ingest them through eating vegetables, and meats, and things like that.
Different ones are higher in different things. And one of the problems with minerals that has been in the past is that the soil is getting depleted in minerals. And so that's one of the problems.
Well, it's all the stuff that we're putting into the soil.
Yes, exactly. And another problem is processed packaged foods don't have it. I mean, they actually take, when you buy a mineral, you wonder where it comes from. It probably comes from the food that's in that process. They take it out.
Right.
So a lot of things are removed from packaged food.
Yeah, there's a lot more money in taking corn and breaking it up into its many parts than there is in corn. So they take the majority of corn is taken apart and actually used as pieces and parts. And lysine, which is a big amino acid, a lot of that comes from corn.
Right.
So there's just so many things, like she said, that you take a food, take it apart, sell the parts, and it becomes some chemical on the side of some package somewhere. And then you have to go, oh, you want the minerals that go with that? Well, you have to buy those.
So you want real food. Again, we ever think no matter what we talk about every week, we say you need a real food diet.
Real food.
And one of the things that I quit doing a long time ago, and it's was buying canned vegetables. Canned vegetables are just
not much to them.
No, there's not much to them. A lot of juice and everything in there.
Like I said, always buy fresh if you can.
Fresh vegetables you can. Frozen
Frozen
vegetables
if you can't. If you can't get fresh, but it's always better to eat what's in season. That's what people did for years and years.
So many wonderful farmers markets around the Gulf Coast area.
We do.
Where you can get fresh vegetables, and the local farmers, they appreciate you shopping with them.
Yes, they do.
Supporting them. And to be honest, you're going to save more money buying it from your local farmers than you are going to the store and buying it, even if you buy it frozen. So again, it all depends on what do they have, what's in season. You can buy snap beans. What's it going to take? Sit there for a little while and just snap those things. I did a lot of them as a kid.
Hours. We did it this weekend.
We did it this weekend.
I was kind of going towards that.
Hours.
Come in and Janine's talking about, we did butter beans and just
thumbs and fingers are sore.
Exactly. I remember doing that. Snap beans, which isn't a whole lot, but purple hulls and and everything, having to peel those. I hated those worse than I did butter beans or lima beans.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things. You get them fresh, and
something too that, and I think a lot about. When we talk about doing these things, processing your own foods, I think modern mankind has lost that touch with their food. It's either in a can or a package. Do most people know what a butter bean looks like?
Because they don't have time. They're going to tell you, I don't have time to deal with that. I don't have time and I hate to say it, but it's an excuse.
It is an excuse. It's a cop-out. Saying this straight up to you, it's a cop-out. You really need to spend some time connecting with your food, learning what a butter bean looks like, or taking a tomato and, oh God, we did that all weekend too. Bringing up that subject, getting those things processed, making, some salsa and stuff like that that we can. You get your hands dirty, get in there with that food. You know what it looks like, what it feels like.
Right. Well, there's different types of, different, as we mentioned, parts of our body that really depend on different minerals. First off, bone and teeth health. Calcium,
biggie.
Yes. Well,
most abundant mineral in your body, and is found in your bones and blood, along with minerals phosphorus, magnesium. Calcium gives your bones strength and density.
And that's what they call the macronutrients. There's actually, in minerals, there's the macronutrients and the micronutrients. Macro is in bigger amounts. That's the minerals that the body needs in bigger amounts.
Calcium,
magnesium, potassium, sodium, chloride, and one that is forgotten often is sulfur. And people don't think about that as a mineral, but it's a mineral. And sulfur is so important, and that's probably one of the ones that you just see people not talk about.
Right.
You know, you don't talk about sulfur is so important. And one of the things it's important for is, for one, transport in the body of other amino acids and nutrients and detoxification and things like that. But it's also good for your hair and nails and skin and connective tissue. And so,
well, somewhere down the line, I got a lack of sulfur there somewhere.
Something happened.
Something happened. But calcium, I mean, calcium deficiency, you know, can, as as we get older, leads to osteoporosis.
Well, you know, it's not so much calcium deficiency. I mean, it is some of that. We get into what we call the cofactors, because if we take in a bunch of calcium, we have to have these cofactors, which basically start with vitamin A, vitamin D, and K2. And we have to have those to actually be able to use calcium.
And magnesium for absorption.
And magnesium for absorption, right.
Magnesium helps the calcium absorb. And so many, over the years, people have just said, oh, I'll just take calcium. But then people are still having problems. And the type of calcium you take is important. A lot of the form of calcium out there is carbonate, which is your least absorbable form of calcium. So that is a very
oyster shells.
Yes, or oyster shell calcium, which is really hard to break down them oyster shells. So if you look at it,
kind of rough going down.
Chew on one; they're a little tough.
So the forms make a difference in the minerals as well, and also what you do with it. But calcium, one of its biggest jobs, is a buffer. I mean, it's actually a buffer in the blood.
Yeah.
And people think about it for
Balances
bones,
pH and stuff,
but it
too.
balances pH along with potassium and magnesium and calcium. They're all balance the pH in the body, which is very important, because without the right pH, you will die.
Well, our numbers are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about minerals today and the importance of them in our bodies and why we need them to survive. And of course, you can call in with a question regarding that, or if you have any other problems, we'll welcome you to call in and talk to the doctors. We'll be back in just a moment on Live Healthy, Be Healthy. And we're back. We had a call from Escataba. A gentleman wants to know, will St. John's wort help with depression caused by, I guess, using spice?
No, getting off of spice.
Getting off of spice.
I mean, it'll help. There's so many nutrients they probably need. You know, anytime you've taken, a substance like spice, it depletes so many things and causes so many, toxic chemicals. Oh yeah. That, I mean, it might help with the depression side of it, though.
I'm saying what it does help with depression. Probably the 5-hydroxytryptophan is a little bit better. We use that a lot for addictions, which a lot of times that is a withdrawal from an addiction. And so I probably find that the 5-HTP works better, but sometimes we use the two together, the St. John's wort and the 5-HTP.
That might be another subject for a show sometime.
Could be.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We are talking about minerals and the importance of them. Our phone lines are open at 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Minerals in energy production. You require oxygen to produce energy that is necessary for every bodily function and process. Red blood cells or erythrocytes?
Yep.
That's what they're called.
Hey, Ooh, I worked on that all weekend.
You're a star, right.
Without the iron molecules, oxygen could not be attached to the blood cells. Iron is an essential mineral.
Very essential.
It is very essential.
That's right, because if you don't get enough in your diet, it can cause anemia, a condition called anemia, which causes weakness and fatigue.
You know, and the other side of that, and you always have another side, and the other side of that is you can get too much. So it's kind of important to have that periodically checked, just checking the status to make sure, especially females, during their childbearing years when they're having a menstrual cycle, very important. And even men, as we get more mature, I don't use the O word, but as we get more mature, we need to have it checked, make sure we're not getting too much.
Well, that's one of the key things that want to impress upon you. People start thinking, okay, I'll take this and this and this and this. If you take too much, it can be detrimental to you as well.
It can.
That's the importance of getting your blood work done.
Even back to your calcium. There was a study that came out about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago, and showed that females who just took calcium and didn't take the cofactors with it, just the calcium, like 1,500 milligrams a day, without cofactors, increase their chance for cardiovascular disease and stroke by 30%.
Wow.
Now that's if they're not taking the cofactors with it. So It's very important when you get into minerals, it's like anything else, it's very important to have all of the information.
And a balance of the minerals, not just one. Now, iron, you were just talking about, that is one that we see so often deficient. I mean, because women in childbearing years is the most likely ones to have it, but we see people that have severe deficiencies.
Even older, more mature men.
Yeah, you can have deficiencies at any age, honestly. But one of the things we see is people that know that they are a little anemic and they kind of ignore it. We see all the time.
So what are some of the symptoms?
Fatigue. Fatigue is a big one.
That's a big one. Just tired.
Your legs aching from the knees down. I hear that in almost all the women that actually have the iron deficiencies.
Okay.
You can have
the restless leg syndrome.
Brain fog, restless leg syndrome. You don't think straight because iron is the most important mineral for oxygen carrying. I mean, because it actually increases your hemoglobin, and that makes a big difference. Medically, a lot of times they'll see a little bit low hemoglobin, and they said, "I don't worry about it." Well, you should worry about it because your health can't be optimal without what you need. And so, and it's very easy to help an iron deficiency. The form of iron, that's another big factor. We have so many people that come in and say, "Well, I'm iron deficient, but I can't take iron." I'm like, "Well, you're taking the wrong kind of iron." Ferrous sulfate, which is your normal over-the-counter iron that is bought out there, is very hard to absorb. So when you can't
and that's
absorb,
the stuff you're going to buy in your big box stores and everything.
And when you can't absorb, it's going to cause constipation. It's going to cause stomach pain, cramping, and so people don't like it, so they don't do it. Well, there's other forms. We have a bisglycinate that's actually very good at absorption. So there are other ways you can help with iron absorption, and then of course your foods, which is your meat. I mean, so when people actually decrease their red meat, they're going to decrease their iron. Spinach is another good source. So I do tell people, you know, you can eat a lot of the green leafy vegetables. You don't want to, raw is probably the best on the spinach, but either way, raw or cooked, either one. But the real dark, things that have dark colors, dark meat, dark chicken meat has more iron than white chicken meat. So the iron.
Well, they always tell you though to eat white meat.
Well, they say
just
that.
Eat the whole chicken.
But just honestly, for nutrients,
I've been missing out on my thighs for a long time.
That's right. Yeah. You gotta eat that
for
whole
nutrients,
chicken.
actually, some of the darker meats actually have more nutrients.
Much more dense. Nutrients.
They're more dense nutrients, in the, especially in the iron. So now a lot of men, like he talked about, 7% of all men have iron overload. So that is you don't want too much iron either. Right. So we actually check that a lot to see whether you're deficient or if you have too much. And that's why, of course, with blood work, you can see where the mineral, a lot of the minerals are. We can't say we check all of them in our basic lab work, but we do check a lot of them.
We check the main ones.
Yeah.
And another very important one that we need to talk about is potassium.
Yes, that was next on my list.
Okay,
nerve and muscle function. Yes, potassium found in bananas, dates, tomatoes, green leafy.
Actually, your highest source is avocados.
Yes.
Yeah, by far.
Yes, definitely.
Even a tomato.
Any kind of legumes, peas, lentils.
Right.
According to Kids Health, this nutrient is important to keep muscles and the nervous system functioning normally.
Right. Yes.
So it's good
also
to do that.
Also about arrhythmias, blood pressure. We see a lot of problems when people are low in potassium with that.
Okay. Sarah's on the phone. What can she do about chronic cystitis?
Well, she's got some issues there with that. You want to take this is more of a female problem, so I'll let her.
Yeah, we deal with a lot with the cystitis. Now, for one, they want to stay off of the acidity. So things that are real acidic and the fruits that are real acidic and the vitamin C and stuff can make the cystitis worse. A lot of times what we look for is also traces of the bacteria. Even very low bacteria, which is considered normal in the bladder, can actually make cystitis worse. So we do use something called D-mannose that actually helps pull the bacteria out of the wall. And a lot of times it is the wall. So, and everybody's a little different. Depending on what else is going on with the person, and of course, lots of water is always a factor, but you do want to stay away from the things that aggravate it, and there's things that you can do to actually help it. Even we mentioned sulfur, we're talking about minerals.
Right.
Sulfur does play a big role in cystitis as well. So the MSM that we're going to be talking about here in a minute is actually another thing that you can do for it, but there's a lot of different things. Even the omega-3 fish oils have been shown to actually help the inflammation that actually, because of course cystitis is an inflammation. So any of your anti-inflammatories, your turmeric, your omega-3s, all that's good. But I always say you want to see if there's a root of a problem first, fix the root of the problem, and then work with the anti-inflammatories.
And of course, you can stop by the doctor's nutrition office located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road, and talk to them personally. No appointment necessary, and they don't charge you for the consultation. That's a great thing. Our phone lines are 8960713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about minerals this morning and the importance of them in your bodies and how sometimes maybe getting too much is not good for you. So we'll be right back with our final segment here in just a moment and tell you about today's special on Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And welcome back to our final segment of Healthy Living South Mississippi, Live Healthy, Be Healthy, our live Monday morning edition. Billy is on the phone from Ocean Springs this morning. Good morning, Billy.
Hi. I suffer from bruises up and down my arms. Every time I just bump into something, a little something, work in the yard, I get bruises all up and down my arm, and it stays purple almost. Is there any treatment prevention for that?
There is. Now, are you on blood thinners?
No.
Okay, this first question we asked, because if you are, that's usually the problem. Actually, you want to have your iron levels checked, no question. And also, another thing that you can have checked is vitamin C levels, because when your vitamin C is low, are you a smoker?
No.
Okay, good, because that actually really depletes vitamin C. You want to look at things like that, because if you don't have any of those other factors, you want to find out if there's something going on that's making you bruise. And you don't want to just take iron without knowing that you need it, but you may.
That needs to be checked first, Billy, like you said. But and if you need it, then okay, we can give you that. If it's something else like C, that's easy to do. So there's need to get checked out and find out what it is, because that's not a good sign.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Billy. We had a call from Dorita, wanted to know what kind of soil to use for organic vegetables or plant organic, and that would be organic soil.
And we're not joking. You can buy organic soil. I mean, you go to your big Home Depot or Lowe's, places like that, and they'll actually have bags. And you have to look for it, but I mean, they'll have bags.
There's organic potting soil.
Organic potting soil.
And there's also organic, when you look at fertilizers, there's organic fertilizers, which actually are loaded with minerals.
Like, for instance, one that we use a lot, and of course, you obviously picked up, we do a little gardening in the backyard, and one that we use a lot is bone meal.
Yes,
calcium.
Bone meal. Yes.
Okay, and other minerals, but like for instance,
and bone meal's not just. I mean, you hear a lot of people use that just for tomatoes or for the roses, but I mean, it's good. It's good for all that.
Your tomatoes will have what they call blossom. The blossom part will rot, and because they don't have enough calcium in them. And so if you've got a tomato plant that's starting to rot around the blossom, you don't have enough calcium. Get you some good organic bone meal, put in there. Great stuff.
Okay.
But they have blood meal and they have all sorts of organic fertilizers.
And they're all loaded with minerals. When you really look at fertilizers, they're usually
That's why
minerals.
You get a lot of minerals through your plants and the food that you eat.
One of the things that we use a lot of is something called magnesium sulfate.
Which is, again, magnesium.
Magnesium.
Now, magnesium, we didn't really get into it yet because we don't have so much time, but magnesium, I did want to stress, is probably one of the most efficient minerals that you can have.
Right.
And it's important in over 300 different enzyme processes in the body.
Wow.
And it's important in making energy. And so people that have deficiencies in magnesium will be low in energy, and they also, blood sugar control. I mean, believe it or not, magnesium. And even some of the trace minerals like chromium and vanadium are real important in blood sugar control.
And iodine for the thyroid and so on.
Iodine for the thyroid. There's actually, if you want to know more about the minerals, if you listen to our radio show, which we have a whole hour, we'll be going into each individual mineral. That will be tomorrow night live at 7 o'clock. You can go to our website, doctorsnutrition.com, to get to the show. Or you can always listen to it later because it's archived.
Yeah.
Geraldine called in, want to know about shingles.
Yes.
Now that's a nasty critter. It really is. But it's the herpes virus that caused chicken pox.
Yes.
And the bad thing about those guys, once they get in you, they stay. And of course they're very opportunistic, so they come out whenever you get stressed. The immune system can't quite keep up.
Stressed or run down.
Or run down, that kind of thing. Well, that's depressed.
That's stressed.
And so, we use things like the olive leaf extract. Great antiviral.
Yeah, aloe vera.
Great antiviral. Great.
It actually helps suppress that virus. You're not really going to kill it, but you can suppress it again.
And then lysine.
And then lysine, which is an amino acid, it actually keeps it from replicating.
Right.
And then on top of that, those are the two we always use. And if somebody really, stuff to boost the immune system.
Like
we'll use the arabinogalactin, the DMG, things to actually help with the immune system.
That's right.
Be stronger.
Okay. We got a caller from Wiggins on the phone. Who's there with us this morning? Good morning.
David.
Hey, David. How's it going? What's your question?
Okay, my question is, I know magnesium, and for your digestive system that'll help. I have a problem on going to the restroom. And it takes I can go like 7 days without going to the restroom, and my stomach will start to swell, and my throat will start to hurt and burn.
Yeah.
And I take a laxative, and it helps it go down. And it smells like vomit. But I think too much laxative will cause my face to sag over a period of time of taking a laxative. But I always want to know, is it short of magnesium that it helps your digestive system?
I would suggest two things. One is probiotics as well. And we've got a ton of people that take their magnesium, like magnesium citrate, every day, simply because it does help. It acts like a stool softener.
It does help you go to the bathroom.
It's not a laxative, but it acts like a stool softener. It pulls some more moisture back into the gut and soften that stool, which makes it a lot easier to function. Now, along with a good probiotic, because if you say you got a real foul-smelling stool, that's a sign that you've got what we call dysbiosis in that gut. And the big thing there is probiotics. You take the probiotics and the mag, you probably would fix a lot of your digestive
And make sure you
issues.
drink plenty of water.
Lots of water. Lots of water.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good deal.
Thanks for the call, David. We are talking about minerals here this morning and the importance of them. It's our weekly special this week.
We've got some
Two
multi-mineral.
things. A multi-mineral, which is called Citramins. We have one with and without iron because some people do need the iron, some people do not need the iron. And then we have MSM, which is a source of organic sulfur, which is so important in joints and transport and detoxification and hair and skin and nails and everything else. So that's our two this week.
Sulfur is extraordinarily important. We could do a whole show just on the need for sulfur and what it does for us. We really could.
And of course, you always want to impress upon you the importance of getting your blood work done.
Yes.
To see where you're lacking at in any of these things.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to overdo it.
No, you don't want to overdo it. One of the things that we see, especially this time of year where we are in the South, we perspire. Okay. We sweat. Okay. If you're outside, you're sweating. I don't care what you call it. And the thing about it, we lose a lot of minerals when we do that. So this time of year, it's extremely important.
When you get a lot of the cramping, people that work outside, that Citramins that we just mentioned is what we use a lot of.
This time of year is a huge seller.
Men that don't even normally take anything take those things during the summer because they say, oh my gosh, it keeps my muscle cramps down. Because calcium, potassium, sodium, all the lacking of those minerals can actually make muscle cramps.
Now, you hear them say, well, I'll just take salt tablets.
It's not always salt.
Not always
it's
salt.
not always salt. Salt is important. And believe it or not, people have, to me, low salt is actually just as dangerous as too much salt.
They've scared the bejesus out of people about salt, so. Not a good thing.
Well, we've talked about minerals this morning, the importance of minerals and to help you in so many different areas. I mean, especially one of the things, got 30 seconds left, immune health, how it can, if you don't get the right minerals.
Zinc, especially for immune system.
Yes, and increases your risk of even heart disease and cancer.
Right.
So, but we don't have enough time to get all the way into that. Next week,
Prevention.
The
importance of prevention.
Ounce of prevention. Didn't some famous guy say that?
Yeah, ounce of prevention is equal to a pound of
cure.
Worth a pound of cure. Yeah. There you go. Okay, have a great week. This show will be rebroadcast this coming Friday at 9 o'clock here on WLOX CBS.